Hello everybody, my name's Andie McKeown and I'm very excited today to be talking to you all about logistics, technology and change management. Now, hopefully today we can bust a few buzzwords and phrases, and this talk is very much aimed at both the users of technology within supply chain and logistics as well as the solutions providers. So I'm quite fortunate really because I've spent decades as a logistician working in some very hostile and interesting environments around the world, and quite often I was the gatekeeper for technology solutions coming into business, and I now run a technology solutions company for the logistics and supply chain industry. So I've got a unique perspective on this, and I hope to share my experience and some of my approaches so that you may add value to your businesses, whether you be a solutions user or a solutions provider. And very much focus in on change management, because I think that's the key. That's at the heart of logistics technology. Now, global logistics, where are we today and tomorrow? Now, let's face it, the world as we knew it is definitely over. It has changed. The world since COVID-19 has very much moved forward, and a lot of people are still saying that COVID-19 caused a lot of supply chain and logistics problems, but that's simply not true. It was simply a catalyst that brought to the surface problems and fragilities within the supply chains and logistics around the world and brought them to the surface. And one of the great positives from this, I see as a positive, is that the world now accepts that we must do better and we cannot face the same problems. Now, it has changed the world in a lot of different ways, and especially the way we live and work. Some of the overarching trends, due to and post COVID-19, a lot more people are now used to the remote working. You need the technology to be able to support that, as well as a lot of the value chains and logistics around the world need to become a lot more agile, a lot more flexible and nimble to suit the needs and also adjust to the disruptions. Now, transparency and traceability is becoming more and more important, especially as we see more and more digital laws come into place to aid with the digitalization of our industry. Now, if one thing's for certain in our industry, it is uncertainty, supply chain uncertainty. Now, the factors that affect us in 2023 and beyond may be different from what affected us over the last few years, but some of them remain constant. We have the geopolitical problems and challenges that we face, everything from the war in Ukraine to tensions with China, as well as other constraints that we have. We still have port congestion, driver shortages around the world. So the only thing that is sure is the fact that there will be continued uncertainty. And one of the great things that has come out of the last few years is the vast amount of investment into our industry, both external and internal, with people realizing that supply chain and logistics is critical to global trade. It's critical to our everyday lives, and it needs to be dragged into the 21st century. And for the last few years, logistics technology, has been viewed by some as somewhat of a magic bullet in terms of fixing all of our solutions, and I don't agree with that. Now, don't get me wrong, technology is fantastic, but in and of itself, it is not a solution. Now, we've already seen that there are some issues with the Logitech space. I'll put up on the screen here some of the actual results from what's happening in the real world. And a lot of these figures that you will see here are quite damning. And this is, I believe, because of this rush in terms of people believing that technology is a solution in and of itself. And quite often, technology itself gets in the way of the solution. You cannot simply throw technology at a problem and hope that it fixes. We need to actually look at the problem itself, and this is why today's talk is about both logistics technology and change management. And we need to focus on change management and get that process right if we can ever hope to embrace technology and bring about value add into our industry. Now, a typical Logistic process is quite linear and left to right. Proposals are received, you identify the best solutions from the bids that you have, and then you put them into place, and that's it until the next time you need another project. Very linear, very left to right, and this is where a lot of the problems stem from. Again, this is a change management process, so we need to start at the beginning. And we at LogChain like to talk about KYP. Everyone's very familiar with KYC, know your customer, but we should be looking at know your pain. This is where you need to start in terms of change management and define the actual problem. We need to understand from the very start that all change management processes are cyclical. We need to be able to define the problem. If you cannot define the problem on a single A4 piece of paper, then you need to go back to that and work harder. Regardless of how complex the problem is, you should be able to define it very simply. And like I said, this is a cyclical process. We need to understand that from the very start. And we should set goals and objectives for fixing any problem, not just have a knee-jerk reaction to fix the immediate pain that is in your business. And sit down and brainstorm possible solutions before you even go out to third parties to try and find these solutions. Quite often that solution might be under your nose. Now, get rid of the low-hanging fruit. Rule out the obvious and the poor solutions. But actually, what I would say is probably even more critical to that is examine the consequences. You might have a clear and present problem within your business, but are the consequences really that serious? Is there another area of the business where the pain is more immediate and more severe? So you need to understand the consequences of the existing pain, but also examine the consequences of the actual change itself, because then you can go forward and identify the best solutions that you can put in place to your business. Now, one of the hardest elements here is to put the solutions into practice. But the key to this, and what ties all of this together, is to review this. Every single solution that you put into place, quite often, again, it's a linear left to right process, and people move on to the next issue. It is extremely important in any project. Change management, technology, it doesn't matter. You need to review what you did, how you did, what could you do better, what did you do well? And these lessons can be used in the next cycle of change management and make you, your team and your business smarter, stronger and more resilient. Now this is very key for technology users. This is a process that you should embrace, and this is a process that you should do before going out to your third parties. Now, I did say as well, we will try and address some of the quite often the buzzwords and the buzz phrases that are thrown around in business. Now, everybody says communication is key, and well, is it really? Communication isn't key. Communicating well is the key element here. How do we do that? That's what we should be asking ourselves. Now, communication can't solve all your problems, but it is your best hope. So what do we mean by this? So everybody throws communication, especially with change management. Communication is key. It's quality over quantity. All of us every day are drowning in data and drowning in communications. How many notifications today on your phone have you ignored? How many emails are going unread? What you need to do throughout any change management process is to make sure that you are providing quality communication to your stakeholders, to your team, to leadership, and to any vendors that you may be working with. And for a solutions provider, the same is true. It's key that you communicate this within your own company, but also communicate with your client. We will kind of switch a little bit here from focusing at the users of technology to the actual providers, the solutions providers out there, the Logitech providers as they've become known. Now, I like to be a little bit glib here, and we do need to understand that technology is an enabler. It's not a solution in and of itself. All too often, there are some very intelligent people who are coming into the industry of supply chain and logistics with very innovative solutions for which there is no problem. And trust me, there's enough problems in our industry for you to address. We don't need to invent solutions for which there are no problems. The domain knowledge is key, especially in this industry. This is something I've had a huge amount of personal experience with. It's very frustrating when you sit down with some very clever individuals and they have got no domain expertise, which is fine. We all have our own areas of expertise, but make sure you are bringing someone with that domain knowledge to come into the room so that you can speak the same language of your customer. You need to respect the domain, especially within the areas of logistics and transport and supply chain. There are so many different areas and niches and corners to this industry. It's a very complex and nebulous industry. So you need to make sure you've got the right domain knowledge for each sector and each area that you're talking to. And make sure when you're speaking with customers, no is a better word than yes. Trust me on this. Aim for a very targeted trial of your solution or your technology and expand from there. You need to make sure that you resist scope creep. This is very hard, especially for smaller companies. They want to say yes to their customer, but quite often that can cripple you and can also negatively impact your actual solution and how you are viewed as a solutions provider and your company. Resist that scope creep. You will be respected for it in the longer term. Now, the shocking news. You are not the hero in this story. I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of logistics technology providers believe they are the main character. They believe that they are the hero in the story. Just is not true. And you need to really understand this. The customer is the hero of the story here. And you are servicing a service industry. If the truth be told, it's not even just your customer who's the hero, it's the customer's customer. We are servicing a service industry, which means we're serving the logistics and supply chain industry. In turn, they are serving someone else. We need to always remember that in everything that we do, in every engagement. And it is a pill sometimes that people struggle to swallow. Leave your ego at the door. You are not the hero in this story. And that's critical in having empathy with a client. You need, going back to the KYP element, you need to understand their pain and have empathy with them. And even more importantly, I believe, have empathy with the product user. All too often, decisions are made in C-suites that impact the entire business. Technology and solutions decisions are made by people who have not actually engaged and executed anything within the logistics or supply chain industry, possibly for decades. You need to have empathy with that end user. Again, going back to the KYP philosophy of know your pain, understand their pain points and make sure that you communicate your solution. Quite often, a lot of people see new solutions and new technology as a threat. You need to be able to communicate your solution and let them know that this is going to enable them. Again, technology is an enabler. Make sure that they understand your technology, your solution is going to enable them to do their job faster, better, cheaper, whatever it may be. And again, make sure you communicate your solution. It may not be key, as we have talked about earlier, but it's the best hope that you have. Now, we are talking about heroes here. So change management is also extremely similar to the hero's journey, something that has used in terms of telling stories for thousands of years. And I think this is an excellent way of allowing people to understand the entire process of change management as a whole. Now, the hero's journey starts off with you. You are the protagonist. You know, it could be the potential customer. They are happy, they are comfortable, everything is good in their world. But then a need is created. Something is wrong, something goes wrong. That need is being created now to spur them onto this journey. This is where they go. They go to try and decide the solution to this problem. And this is what then leads into the search. The search, they are looking for the answer, they find. And this is an important element in the journey, looking for the actual best solution. And the take. Now the take, there's always a price, and this must be understood in change management. You take a solution, there's always a price to pay. It might not be monetary, it could be a price in another part of your business. The take is an important element in this journey. And the return. You move back to your original world. You go back and you slowly adjust to the new way of things. And now it's a part of your life. It's now a part of your existing world until the next journey begins. Now, one of the things I find fascinating about the similarities between the hero's journey and the cyclical nature of change management is the fact that as you go through this, you move from the top half of this process, from a process of order into chaos. And once again, you go from chaos into order. This is something that we just need to understand is an integral part of change management, an integral part of the hero's journey, and it's something that you will experience. And knowing that ahead of time, communicating this with your team, allowing them to better understand the problem, allow them to be a stakeholder in the solution, allowing them to understand the journey to this will only make the change management less painful and hopefully more successful. What is a key pain point that needs addressing within your department, within your business, or for a customer that you are serving? Go and focus on that. Make sure you can pin that down to an A4 piece of paper and then communicate. Again, remember, it's quality, not quantity. It's the way. Make sure you're communicating in an effective manner. You don't need to email the entire company. Maybe you should speak to the stakeholders and possible mentors that help you on your hero's journey. Embrace that journey. Change management will always be cyclical. It is always a journey. There will be ups and downs. That is just a fact of life. Now, I hope, and I really hope, that there are some elements of this talk today that you can find useful and can be put into action into your business tomorrow. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you very much.